Hi, I'm Ruggero from One Foot in the Door, and today I want to tackle one of the biggest myths about screen acting we have out there. And the myth is, if you feel it, the camera will catch it. It's not true. Sorry guys, it's just not true. Don't get me wrong, it can be true sometimes for some actors in some scenes or some situations, okay? For some people who are extremely expressive naturally, this might even always be true. However, trust me, I've worked with over 600 actors to date in the last 12 years, and I can tell you that is so not true for everybody. So really not true for everybody. As a matter of fact, and this might sound weird, but I've actually seen actors for whom feeling it more meant closing themselves up and not actually sharing anything with the audience, to the point that when they were feeling the most, they just looked completely blank. So what can you do? Why do people say that? First of all, I think there is this aura of magic around screen acting that, and around acting in general, but screen acting in particular, because it's what most people are used to, most people are interested in nowadays, and because we like to think that what we see is real. There's this obsession we have with reality. Guys, none of this stuff is real. None of this stuff is true. The only reality there is, the only truth we have, is the truth we create in the heart of the audience. That's the only truth that matters. If we make them feel something, if we make them think about something, how we got there doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. I can tell you this, an amazing emotional performance from someone who used the memory of when his father died, and an amazing performance of someone who used some physical sensations to trigger the tears or whatever. If they both know what they're doing, if they both know how to deliver this, they're just as good. They're just as good. And not only they're just as good, but you can't actually tell who's using which technique. Okay? So, should you try and feel everything? You need to find it out for yourself. Okay? And this is, I think, very important. That's the thing, like, because we have this big aura of mystery around acting, around screen acting or whatever, people tend to become obsessed with these type of techniques that really dig deep into your own psychology, your own memory, your own pain and stuff. And don't get me wrong, to a certain degree it can be useful. I'm not saying it's not, okay? It can be useful, especially if you have a problem accessing those emotions. If you have a problem showing your own vulnerability, showing your own pain, sharing that, accessing that stuff, then sure, it can be useful to go through a period of that. But be careful, because there are a lot of acting coaches and acting teachers that take this way too far. Way too far. You don't need to get on the edge of a psychological breakdown to give a good performance. In fact, you shouldn't. Okay, you should be very centered, very much in control of what you're doing, very strong in what you're doing, to be able to really access those painful emotions if you need to, and to really show them, share them with your audience. You can't be constantly actually half broken down yourself. That it's unhealthy, and you don't need to do that. You really don't. But you might, as I said, in your journey to become a good actor, you might need to do some self-exploration, to access certain emotions, access certain things. But once you've done that, once you are able to share your vulnerability with your audience, to break down those barriers, that's it. You don't need to keep going on it. It's not a better performance if you feel it more. In fact, most of the time, it's the opposite is true. People get pretty good pretty quickly once they start breaking down these walls, but then their performance actually becomes worse. They go on an inverted thing because they become so obsessed about feeling it all the time that they're not sharing it in the right way. As I said, remember that the only emotions that matter are the emotions we create in the audience, not what we're feeling. All right. So in general, there are a lot of other techniques, and I know I've only talked about emotionality because that's the one thing that is sort of more talked about and more people tend to focus on that more. But remember, there's a ton of stuff to performance. There's a ton of styles, different styles of acting, different emotions, different things, comedic timing, interesting lines reading, and then all the technical stuff of adapting your performance to each different shot. If you're talking about screen acting, there's a ton of this stuff, which is why I'm saying feeling it doesn't matter. There is so much to be learned and to be mastered to create the emotions in the audience. So this is my recommendation for you. Stop obsessing, if you are, you might not be, but if you are obsessing about feeling it all the time, don't. Relax into this. Have more fun. Double check. Learn to feel your audience. Learn to feel them. Comedy is very good in this. I would say, especially if you're obsessing too much about darker things, tragedy, dramas and stuff, focus more on comedy. Learn to feel the audience through comedy. It's easier because you make them laugh. There we go. Comedy on stage I'm talking about. You make them laugh or you don't. So you have a immediate feedback there. But you can feel it as well when you're doing a drama. So I would say, first of all, do stage. Work on the stage. Don't pretend to go straight to camera, sorry. Because it's really important that you learn how to communicate with the audience. You learn what works and what doesn't work. And you will start to feel this. You will start to get a sense for this. And that is way more important than what you're feeling yourself. As I said, there's a ton of these things to be talked about. I can't say it all now. Just so you know, I'm preparing an online screen acting course and I will be launching it pretty soon, so keep an eye out for that. And if you have any comments, please write it down below in the comment section. And if you have any topic you'd like me to talk about, let me know that as well. And now, if you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe, and don't forget to ring the bell so you get notified whenever I post a new video. Thank you so much and have a great day.